Hey everyone, Mr. DVB here. In today's video, I'm bringing you guys another triple review. This one is going to be focused on family movies that I saw recently. The first one I'll talk about is Luca, then I will discuss Space Jam: A New Legacy, and then I'll end the video off with Jungle Cruise. So first up is Luca, which is the newest film from Disney Pixar. I watched this movie when it released on Disney Plus for free back in, I think it was June, I want to say. I don't honestly remember. But this is a nice, enjoyable film. It's about a young boy named Luca who lives in the Italian Riviera. He is a underwater sea creature who wants to go up onto the land and explore more of life. He's not very happy with where he is right now. And so he befriends this other young sea creature who does live on the land. And it's basically their adventures they share together throughout the summer. It's focused on their friendship. And there's also this young girl that they befriend who is an actual human. And it's just a really nice, heartwarming movie. I don't think it's, necessarily a masterpiece as far as Pixar movies go. I think there's far better Pixar films out there, but I do think this was just a nice, enjoyable movie. You don't always need to have, these Pixar films that have these really huge, deep, meaningful stories. Sometimes it's nice to just have these kind of more simplistic ones, and that's what this film did for me. It was just nice and simplistic. Is it gonna stand the test of time like some other Pixar movies go? I don't think so. But I still enjoyed my time with this movie. I thought the animation was gorgeous, which is just a thing that is kind of said about every Pixar movie at this point, but it's true, they always look great, and this movie was no different. I loved the colors here, just the blues and everything. It was a very vibrant looking movie, very nice to look at. The style of animation here I really liked. You look at something like Soul, which when it's taking place in the real world, looks extremely realistic. It's a very realistic looking movie. This movie isn't as realistic looking as Soul is, and there's sort of a different animation style when it comes to the movement of the characters here, but I really liked that about it. It was very unique feeling for Pixar, and so just looking at it, it's a very gorgeous movie. Again, everything's very detailed and whatnot. The score was good from what I remember. The voice acting was good from the cast. So it's an enjoyable movie overall. It doesn't really have the emotion that a lot of other Pixar movies pack. The ending of this movie, it maybe would have been more effective if I had watched this movie a month later after I had moved and moved away from my friends and whatnot. But yeah, I don't think it has the same kind of heart-throbbing sad moments that a lot of other Pixar films do. But whatever, they don't always have to have one. This was just a nice summer adventure film. Alright, next up we have Space Jam: A New Legacy. So this is a movie that, funnily enough, my brother and I were looking forward to quite a bit. Well, him not as much, but we both really enjoy the original Space Jam. I wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure because that kind of insinuates that the movie is not actually good. I think the original Space Jam is actually an enjoyable, fun family film. I've always liked it. It's just a movie that my brother and I have watched many times together. And so I really wanted a second Space Jam, and I was excited to get one. But yeah, I didn't exactly like the style of this movie from how the trailers looked and whatnot. When I heard the premise for the movie, I thought it sounded stupid, and it was basically just all the wrong things being thrown together. Having seen the movie, it's not a good film. It is a very, very bad movie, but I would be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy it. My brother and I kind of felt the same way, which is that it's a really, really bad film, but there's just something about it that was entertaining. Some of the times it was laughing at things that were just stupid in the movie. Other times it was actually enjoying what was going on. I would say more so the first part of that, but yeah, I did have fun with this movie for as terrible as it was. As far as just, the look of the movie and stuff, it feels very, low quality. I'm not referring to how many pixels or anything like that, but it just felt kind of like a TV movie just as far as the cinematography and stuff goes. It's very flat looking. The effects are a mix here. I don't really love the way that the characters looked when they're in 3D form. It's kind of like Detective Pikachu, where it's just weird seeing these traditionally 2D characters turn into realistic 3D animated ones. So I wouldn't go as far as to say the CGI was bad. It was just kind of off-putting. The element that I was most worried about this movie going into it, and same with my brother, I think, was that the film was, going to have a lot of other Warner Bros. Properties in here, not just Looney Tunes. So you're getting to see, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones. There's even, It in this movie, which I found very odd, right? So you get all these different worlds, DC and stuff, properties that Warner Bros. Owns. And I was kind of worried this movie was just going to shove that down your throat, and it does, but I actually didn't hate it. There was kind of some fun scenes where they'd be walking through these movies. So you might see like characters in the DC universe, you might see characters going around in like the Matrix movies. It was kind of cool just seeing like all those different properties. Yeah, it is basically just Warner Bros. Gloriously masturbating to their properties that they own, but it was... I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a kick out of some of it. But at the same time, the worst aspect of this movie was the final act. The actual basketball game that they play at the end went on for way too long. I checked on HBO Max, and it's like 40 or 50 minutes long, which is ridiculous. And there's definitely some bad CGI in that third act. Don Cheadle turns into like a 3D character at one point. It's terrible. But yeah, overall, not a good movie. I did have fun with it. I don't really think I would recommend it, to be honest, because it's not a good film. But yeah, whatever. I still enjoyed it, and I guess this one would be kind of a guilty pleasure. Alright, and finally we have Jungle Cruise, which is the newest Disney movie. This one is a theme ride turned into a film, just like Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Tomorrowland, etc. Really the only one of those to actually be good was the Pirates of the Caribbean. I would say the original 3 are good, and then 4 and 5 aren't. But Jungle Cruise, I actually really liked this movie. I saw it twice in theaters, like I said, both times in IMAX. It's just a fun film. Is it like anything noteworthy? No, not necessarily, but it's just an enjoyable movie. I definitely think it's better than a lot of the recent live-action remakes that Disney has done. Like, example, Lion King was so bland. It just had no heart in it. I wasn't a fan of the Beauty and the Beast remake or the Mulan remake. So I definitely enjoyed this more. And I think this is what Disney should be doing, is taking some of their rides and turning them into movies, because they have a lot of rides that they can do films with. I'd love to see a Haunted Mansion remake, because the original one is not good. But yeah, Jungle Cruise was just an enjoyable movie. It harkens back to a lot of old adventure franchises. There's a lot of similarities to be drawn with Indiana Jones or... something like Romancing the Stone or whatever, right? It has those kind of fun 80s, like, adventure movie vibes, and I enjoyed that about it. As for your cast, I liked people here. I thought Dwayne Johnson was good as the protagonist. Emily Blunt was really good. Both of them, I thought, worked well together on screen. Jesse Plemons plays the villain, and he was pretty hilarious in this movie as, like, this German, like war villain. I don't even know how to explain his character, but he was very funny. His accent was so over the top, and it's a goofy, lighthearted movie that I enjoyed. I did have some issues with it. For being that it's a Jungle Cruise film, there wasn't really that many like cruise animals in it. Like, there was a couple scenes, but for the most part it was mostly just them on the water and trying to locate this treasure. And all that stuff I liked. The movie's got pretty good visual effects for the most part. There's a few elements that aren't that great. Sometimes the CGI villains can look a little bit off, and the tiger wasn't the greatest either. But, besides that, I never thought anything looked that bad. It's just a cool movie. I like the colors of it, like the really, like, saturated look. Yeah, just an entertaining film with fun characters. I thought the humor was pretty good, besides one joke about, like, Emily Blunt wearing pants that was so overused. Another thing I found kind of weird in this movie was there was one flashback scene set hundreds of years ago, and there was like a cover of a Metallica song being used. It was just very out of place, because you're watching like this 500-year-old flashback, and then you have like hardcore rock music over top. It was very goofy, and I laughed both times I saw the movie. But overall, enjoyable movie. I do recommend checking out Jungle Cruise, honestly. I think it's quite fun. Like I said, it's probably one of the better live-action Disney movies in a while, if you don't count, like other properties they own. If you're counting just their own original films, I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. So there you go, guys. Those are all of the reviews I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.